Hello and welcome to the 100 Most Prolific NES Speedrunners August 24 update. This is an attempt to rank the top speedrunners of officially licensed US PAL released games for the NES. There are again no structural changes to the list. We will be making one very soon. However, I've talked about this in the Discord, and we'll talk about a little bit more on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, where we're going to start giving out points to everybody, or at least the top 1,000. Maybe not everybody. Standings are up to date as of August 1st. And from now on, we're going to celebrate the most prolific runners of the previous month before we go on to the full standings. I've done this the last couple of months. We're just going to officially change it because I think this is more fun. So first things first. Who was the most prolific NES speedrunner in July? Top 20. Number 20 was Notorious. 2 new games, 456 points. Still pushing through his Mega Man, trying to speedrun all of the Mega Man games. But number 19, Oreb. 1 new world record, 469 points. 18, Charlie9631. 3 new games, 1 new world record, 577 points. I think he and Ness Cardinale had been fighting over 1943 for a little while. He might have finally won that fight. Number 17, Greygird. 1 game, 596 points. 16, I believe it's Supermain. 5 being an S. 2 games, 800 points. Number 15, Omquat. 1 new game, 841 points. Again, not always does 1 new game mean they only played 1 game. That just means they added a game to their repertoire. Let's see here. Number 14, Star Critus. 1 new world record, 855 points. I think that's Pac-Man. Broke a 3-way tie. Number 13, How Do You Play? 2 new games, 889 points. Number 12, Mikey Dies a Lot. 3 new games, 2 new world records, 955 points. Number 11, Dracula. 1 game, 1 shouldn't be there. 1 world record, 986 points. Number 10, I Love Mario. 1 new game, 2 new world records, 1,020 points. Number 9, Darth Tyrell. 5 new games, 1 new world record, 1,386 points. Number 8, Jack Pro. 2 new games, 1,460 points. I think he actually had a game added from a couple of years ago as well. A run added that contributed to that. Number 7, Tom Cabs. 1 new game, 3 new world records, 1,810 points. And now he's working on Super Mario Brothers. Number 6, 8 Bits of Joy. 20 new games, 2,048 points. GG's to 8 Bits of Joy. That's 20 new games, a lot. Number 5, Zarkonis. 4 new games. A sum total of 1 more world record. I think he had a few come and go. 2,195 points. Number 4, Ray Dude. 10 new games, 2,279 points. Again, Ray Dude kind of doing this from the shadows, but keeps pushing forward and learning new games and getting a lot of points in the process. Number 3, Overswarm. 13 new games, 2,579 points. I think he's somebody else who gained and lost world records over the month. Number 2, Beat Zero. 12 new games, 8 new world records, 4,683 points. A lot of those world records are ties. He pushed in pretty hard, and he's somebody who had mentioned before about, excuse me, at least on the YouTube side, had dropped out of was worried about dropping out of the top 100. Well, he made a pretty big push to get back in. And yes, number 1 is Ryu Hayabusa 89. 24 new games, 5,576 points. Very strong effort this month. this last month from Ryu. So congratulations, July 24, Nintendo most prolific Ryu Hayabusa 89, who's in chat, and that's why he's here in chat. Well, now you can go. No, you're not allowed to go. Yes, I forget half the time whether or not to italicize or not. It helps with his name because it's really long. So now on to the list. I won't read off every single name, because, again, a lot of these people are inactive, and I found an error. Look, it's NES Atlas. You're still on the list. You don't have to do anything for another month. There is an error where I knocked somebody out of the list who shouldn't be. I somehow overwrote one of Darkwing Duck's games. Darkwing Duck SDA, and I noticed it this morning, and I decided to just update it anyway, and he can go back in next month. Hey, that's what NES Atlas did, Beta, so it's the top of most of the golf games. You took his world record, you know, it's right there. Again, Star Cretus moved back into the list. He was in the original list, and he came back this month. I thought he was actually completely done speedrunning, so it's pretty cool. See him back in. A lot of the people on this list are not terribly active. So you see some small changes, and it's generally based on, you know, what games other people are playing, if they go above or below their times. But like Carter 44 moved up quite a bit. And by virtue of, I think, one small increase in points. I think Fiesel moved up a bit too, the same thing, didn't actually do a new run. Kind of go through again. There are a lot of, like, Laxus moved up, I think, a little bit. He's active, but like Josh Keys and Dugong are basically long retired. Dracula moved up. Oreb moved up a little bit. There's people who aren't necessarily retired who just don't run or get a lot of PBs. They tend to just focus on single games, so they don't move a lot. Like Rantron Bomb has been gone off of speedrunning for years. Same with Vidtendo. And some people like Dorito Breath, who have been really active, as far as I could tell, didn't really do much this last month. Which happens. It's one of the fun things about speedrunning, is you can jump in when you want to, and, you know, jump out, and you'll fall a little bit on the list if you don't run, but you can catch up pretty quickly, unless you're in, like, the people competing at the top. So top 50 again, Rayquaza, and look at that, Beat Zero, 49th on the list. He was not in the top 100. That is, I think, the biggest increase we've seen in 1 month. We'll get to in a little bit. Not the most points, but the biggest come up on the list. I think Zarkona still gets that from the first month, with that, like, 13,000 points. Scotty J47 keeps inching up too, kind of doing his own thing. Professor Retro went up a little bit. I Love Mario went up a few spots. Vrilus was mostly inactive this month. I think he got infected by the same thing that hit me, which is Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Also, thank you, Dragon Warrior Randomizer admins, for giving me a brief reprieve to focus on this the last couple of days. Also, there's Raydude at 31. Again, somebody who's didn't fresh to speedrunning, but started pushing this list, or at least pushing NES games, and is aware of the list. I don't know if people do it specifically for this. Grayskull keeps just slightly, like, he kind of treads water on this list, but he keeps adding games. Just not a lot of, like, world record pushes, so just keeps kind of going up. 8 Bits of Joy came up quite a bit here, too. I think he was closer to 40 a couple of months ago. It's had a couple of good months. You start looking at these top 20. This is where, there it is, Tom Cab's 21st. You know, 8 months ago had 0. In the top 20, JSR. You get Andy Swee, Chambers in, Stands, Skateman. This was the very odd Skateman passing Stands, despite neither of them having any runs. JKL, you know, another former top 10 has fallen to 15th. 14th, Darth Terrail. Moved up a little bit. 13, Kazakhs. 12th, Spyreal. And 11th is Ryu Hayabusa 89. 27,494. Remember that number. So, 10th is Lack Attack. So he's about 1,500 points behind. Lack didn't have the most aggressive or productive month as far as prolifics go. White Hat, 9th. Look how close they are. 8th, Overswarm, moving into 8th. 7th, Pikachu. Look at these gaps. 41 points. 29 points. Real close. 6th, NES Cardinality. 37,000. Arcus there at 5th, 38,000. Again, NESCAR has been plenty active, but he's been, ever since the beginning of NES Odyssey last month, has been fighting a rash of people going after his world records, and he's been trying to get them back, and it seems almost like he gets one back and loses 2 the next day. So he gained points, but it almost feels like he's just fighting to keep tread water, which is what happens when you have a lot of world records with prolifics, because they matter a lot. So, Smart Alec, 41,000. She's Charcore, 43,000. And we're just going to take a break now for a couple of minutes. We're just kidding. I said it. Need a second here. And music is not cooperating. There you go. Since he mentioned it, number 2 is Toad at 22484, which means our number 1 most prolific is Zarkonis at 47,516. A almost 1,000 point lead. Congratulations to Zarkonis for becoming the most prolific NES speedrunner here in August. Somebody who I think at the start of this was, what, in the 30s or the high 20s, put in a ton of effort that first month and really hasn't stopped. Added tons and tons of games. I mean, we went over this last month, you know, very heavily, just about how many different things he did, kind of push through, learning new games, so many world records, so much effort has been put forward. And this is where I feel like I should almost jokingly be like, and now that Zark is number 1, just like when Chart 4 got number 1, let's change the point system. And no, honestly, I delayed on changing the point stuff for Chart Core. I mean, I delayed it because I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do, but delaying it to, if that helped her get in before we changed it, I was pretty happy with that too. But GG's to Zark, who is in chat, who's probably enjoying this a little bit. I had to play his song, you know. I didn't realize that was literally the next song on the list. My music isn't lined up correctly for some reason, so... well, he's a big fan of Final Fantasy IV, so... Even more stats. The highest rank increase is, again, Beat Zero going up 53 spots. I think we've seen people jump up like into the 60s or 50s. You had to pull your wife over. No problem. This is a lot of fun. I'm glad to see that this is getting people excited to do NES speedrunning, giving you another reason to do the things you probably wanted to do anyway. That's what I hope Prolifics is about. So, there we go. Again, Star Cretus went up 16 spots. Dracula up 8. 8 Bits of Joy and Carter 44 both jumped up 6. I Love Mario, Ray Dude, and Tom Cabs both jumped up 4 spots. It's hard to go up a lot near the top. And Zark went up 1 spot. Most new runners per game. Again, Super Mario Brothers usually going to be at the top of this list because it's the one game that transcends NES speedrunning. Yeah, that too. There's huge point gaps at the top. Home Alone, also usually up there. Some interesting ones here, like Adventures in the Magic Kingdom. I think there might have been a backlog of submissions for that. Ghostbusters, why? That game is awful. Yeah, what else was in here? We got 3 for Mickey's Safari and Letterland. There's not too many unusual ones on here, but the WWF WrestleMania Steel Cage Challenge, I think, came about because somebody literally posted, hey, you can tie the world record very easily, and then like 3 people did. Immediately. I think, was it Beat Zero and Mixmaster DJ? PJ, excuse me. And speaking of that, world records in relevant categories. Beat Zero goes from 5 to 13. You know, right up on the top of that list. I miscolored Lack Attack's name. It's not relevant to anybody, I just noticed that. And yeah, you can see a whole bunch of people. Some interesting new names popping up too. Like Mr. Pleasant 59, Mikey Dies a Lot, have both been taking some world records in some interesting games. Like Mr. Pleasant was one of the people who took one of NESCAR's records in Thunderbirds, I believe. So, be interesting to see as these guys sort of kind of approach the top 100. They're not doing it in the way that some of us have done it, myself included, in playing a lot of games and doing decent in them. They've been focusing on games and trying to world record. And, yeah, so. Again, thanks for watching the video. Full spreadsheet. Everything will be posted with the YouTube video. It should come out tonight. I still can't decide if I really want to do this on Twitch or YouTube primarily, so I'm just doing whatever seems to be most convenient at the time. Maybe I'll just keep flipping back and forth. But there will almost certainly be changes going into the next one. I figured out some things that will make it go faster than I thought it was going to, and I need to just fiddle around with it. I might even make this into a database, as people are pressuring me to do. Although I'd have to figure out a way to export the end values, but I'm pretty sure that's not nearly as hard as it seems. So, thanks again, and until next time, stay prolific.